tonight. These modern-day prophets are predicting startling changes.
Talked about very high winds, very severe rains, massive flooding.
Are we close to the end of the world as we know it? This medium claims to be channeling this man's deceased mother.
She's with you, Kevin.
Is this really a contact with the dead? This grieving woman seeks the help of our psychic detectives to find her daughter's killer.
And I have to live now without her.
Can they find justice?
And I think there was a horrendous argument.
Is this man possessed by the spirit of a German doctor from World War I?
When you come out here and you see it, it's very hard to remain cynical about it.
Witness his medical miracles and decide for yourself. Are secrets of the Roswell UFO incident inside this Army storage crate?
Metal could not be scratched, could not be marked, could not be marred.
The experts examined this strange metallic remnant that may uncover the mystery on the paranormal borderline.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Frakes. This program is about people who have crossed the paranormal borderline. Nostradamus, the Old Testament, the Hopi prophets. Ever since we began, some prophets have been foreseeing our end. Images of destruction, images of upheaval, images of change. Some have called them prophets, some have called them frauds. In the past, these prophets of doom have predicted earthquakes, tidal waves, floods, civil wars, plagues, and killer heat waves. Some happened as predicted, some didn't. But all prophets say things are going to get worse. That's their business.
One of the early warning signs that I gave in the early 80s was to watch for weather pattern changes. When we start to see natural disaster after natural disaster because of storms, because of high wind, earthquakes, and volcanoes, that would signal that we were really close to physical changes in the earth. We entered that time period in 1993.
Gordon Michael Scallion is one of today's most well-known prophets. Though most mainstream scientists don't take his dramatic visions seriously, he has many believers. It began with a mysterious vision of an old woman who opened Scallion's eyes to a frightening revelation and a map of a new United States.
She began showing me the Earth from space, looking down at different places, and I could see that I didn't recognize many of these places. She said, "This is what you now call the United States," and yet it clearly was not the United States. It was a different map.
According to Scallion's first vision, the United States will be divided into two continents. The Mississippi will become a huge inland sea. But most scientists disagree. They say Scallion's geological visions are unfounded and his timetable impossible. Scallion lives with his family in the safe haven of a New Hampshire compound. From there, he produces maps of the New World and a monthly newsletter. But he's always prepared for an emergency.
This is one of our emergency generators.
Scallion has a track record, a series of earthquake predictions that came true from 1992 to 1995. If his new visions are also correct, the coming devastation will be unprecedented. But are the doomsayers viewing the future, or are they just guessing? Skeptics point out if you keep making predictions, some will come true. Across the country in California is another prophet, Sean David Morton. He began having visions as a child, and he continues to this day.
I don't have magic powers. I'm not Superman. I wasn't struck by a bolt of lightning and suddenly became the human Flash or anything like that. I feel that I'm a fairly intelligent person that has followed a path for a very long time, and I have grown and developed as the years went on.
Some of Morton's predictions have been deadly accurate.
I've talked about very high winds, very severe rains, massive flooding and snow in the Northern California area. All of that has happened.
But are these predictions real enough to pack up your life and start over in a safer geographical environment? Elaine Laforêt and Carol Haas chose to do exactly that.
It took me 6 hours to get out of Los Angeles on a good day. Just to drive out of the city, I was going out to meet a friend, and I thought, anything happens here, we're not getting out. If it takes 6 hours on a good day, how can you get out of this in an emergency?
I can't control people, but I can teach them by my own example. They know the prophecies as well as I do, but it's up to them to make a choice.
Not only did they leave their city lives behind, but also their careers, friends, and families. Now they live more simply, close to nature, in a place they call their Santa Fe outpost.
Leaving the East Coast is leaving all the toxicity, all the dis-ease, all the impediments to a vibrant, healthy life. I have stored certain basic foods, the good foods, the staff of life, beans, wheat, seeds that can be sprouted, so that if food from the system isn't available, it's available here. And life could be lived very simply.
But what if there were no choice? What if we ignore the warnings and all the visions of devastation are correct? Rick Tobin, founder of the Mass Relocation Program, says we can't handle a disaster of this magnitude. But more importantly, he says, we are forgetting about a segment of our population that is helpless and at the same time, our only hope.
If we have a massive catastrophe, for instance, it's predicted if there were a 7-0 right here in Los Angeles, you'd have 8,000 initial casualties, fatalities. What people don't say in that is that there are children associated with those families of those people who've just died. What's going to happen to a system even like California where you had, for instance, 4,000 to 20,000 instant orphans?
Tobin, a father himself, focused his program on children because of their lack of political and financial voice.
Why I focused on this is I consider them our destiny, and I want to protect their destiny. Without that, we have no future. The plan itself is to build a facility where children can be moved from many parts of the United States to a central location that is in a zone that's already been proved to be less likely to be impacted by natural disasters based on historic events. Two things will be very serious. One is a fight for space and land, and the other is for basic living conditions, food, water, and shelter. The central part of the United States has many areas where people can live, but if you put them on that land that was previously productive, where's the food going to be raised now? And it won't just be us looking for the food, it will be the rest of the world that depends on our breadbasket. So when we talk about Scallion's map, we're not just talking about a change in the real estate, we're talking about a change in reality.
Now, an ordinary man with an extraordinary story. When people die, there's often a great deal of unfinished business. So many things are left undone and unsaid. But what if you could have one final conversation with someone you love who died many years ago? Just what would you ask? And more importantly, how would they answer? Kevin and Dina Boss step off their plane from Denver to Los Angeles. For them, this is no ordinary trip. It is a journey to contact Kevin's mother through the paranormal powers of a psychic medium. Kevin wants to speak with his mother, who was killed in an accident in 1984. She and Kevin were picking up their mail at their country mailbox when Kevin's mother suddenly screamed. A small plane was headed their way. She saved Kevin's life by pushing him down to the floor of the truck, but she was killed as the plane crashed into them.
If she wouldn't have pushed me down, the wing would have hit me first. She literally saved my life, you know. Then I woke up. When I woke up, I knew she was dead, you know, that she had passed away. So it was a lot of pain.
Kevin went on to marry his childhood sweetheart and started a family. But he never really recovered from the accident. Frequently out of work and emotionally crippled, he turned to alcohol and drugs to dull his nightmares.
I've experienced alcoholism, you know, and then I experienced massive drug addictions, you know. And when I was driving, the whole thing that kind of came to me was I'm running from the pain.
One day, Kevin's wife, Dina, saw medium James Van Praagh on a television show. Van Praagh is a clairvoyant who claims to be able to contact the dead. For 11 years, he's helped the living communicate with their lost loved ones.
By the end of the show, I believed. I had goosebumps on my arms, I was crying, and I just knew, you know, I just felt like, you know, here's something good.
Dina hoped Van Praagh would be able to contact Kevin's mother. Then he could put his unresolved feelings of guilt to rest. She wrote Van Praagh a letter.
The reason that I'm writing is because of my husband, Kevin. When he was 15, he was involved in the most bizarre accident with his mother. My husband feels that his family would rather that he had died instead and that she's dead because of him. The pain he feels is as strong today as it was on the day she died, almost 10 years ago. He told me the only thing he had the hardest time dealing with is not getting the chance to say goodbye. The reason why I'm writing to you is because I thought if my husband could see you, it might help the healing process a little. Sincerely, Dina Boss.
Von Prague agreed to meet them and contact Kevin's mother through a psychic reading. Von Prague claims he hears voices and receives detailed messages from beyond. He says he first discovered his psychic powers when he was just a young boy.
I always knew things before they would happen. I would see things, and I didn't really put much credence into it until my early 20s when a medium from England told me that I would start hearing voices in 2 years, and I did not believe him. And approximately 2 years to the day, I started hearing thoughts in my head which were independent of my own and made total sense to this person I was sitting with. And then I realized it was indeed a gift and that I did need to help people.
As the time grows near, Kevin and Dina worry about the reading.
So what do you think he's gonna say?
I don't know.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah. Good scary, though, huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to convey exactly what that spirit wants to let that person know, and I have to go through that person's emotions. The person I'm reading for, they might be crying, and they usually are, but I still have to kind of go through that and bring through the message and make sure that it's heard loud and clear to them.
Aren't you kind of nervous?
Yeah, very. I love you. Thanks for getting all this started.
You needed it.
I know. The biggest thing I would hope for is just a chance to say goodbye, you know, and honestly to tell her how good of a person she was and that I loved her very much.
I want to be able to start from today on new and have Kevin be whole. That's what I'd like. Then we could move on.
When Kevin and Dina finally arrive at the studio of James Von Prague, they're nervous, excited, and scared.
Hi.
Hi, sir.
Hi, welcome, Kevin. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Come on in.
Soon, Von Prague's abilities will be put to the test. Will they reach Kevin's mother? And will Kevin be able to handle it if they do? We'll be back in a moment with the rest of the story.
Love.
Coming up next, a man who's seeking his mother's spirit.
She's showing me a field, and I don't know why she's showing me a field.
Where the accident was.
And later, an ordinary man possessed by the soul of an extraordinary doctor.
But he has something. He has something unexplainable that he hasn't.
Then, modern-day prophets with terrifying predictions.
Volcanic activity and earthquake activity is going to increase.
Plus, we reveal the contents of an army crate that may be from Roswell.
Welcome back. We left Kevin Boss just before his attempt to contact his mother, who died while saving his life. We now join Kevin, his wife Dina, and psychic medium James Von Prague. Kevin and Dina Boss are anxious to sit with James Von Prague, who will attempt to contact Kevin's mother. Von Prague begins the psychic reading with a prayer.
Divine Heavenly Parent, we ask your blessing upon this meeting today. We thank you, dear spirit friends and guides, for your help and assistance in bringing through those loved ones who have made the change known as death. We ask for the white light of protection around us as we sit together in love. Thank you. Amen.
In moments, the vision of a woman appears to Von Prague, and the session begins.
First impression I get is a lady standing right next to you, and I do feel it's a mother figure. I do feel this energy, and she's very young, your mom, okay? And I'm going to give you things that she's giving me, feelings. And was she a light-colored hair, by the way? Because I see a lady with light-colored hair, and your mom is here, and she's giving you both a kiss. And it's very, very interesting because your mom, if I can put it to you this way, when she comes through a bit wild wild energy. You understand? She's a crazy lady. You understand what I mean? And I mean that in a good way. I mean that in a loving way. Your mother loves fun. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because she's full of fun, and your mom is full of a lot of life. She feels very, very energetic, and she's very happy to be here. And she's telling me that she planned this whole thing, and she wants me to tell you that. Okay? She planned this. Okay? And she's coming and she's giving you a hug. I see her around you, and your mom. Go on. Yeah. She's telling about your eyes. She's talking about your eyes. Do you have your mother's eyes? She's talking about you have her eyes. She said you have her eyes. She said he has my eyes. And she's giving love to the babies, and I don't know what she's talking about, but she's talking about the babies. Your babies, yes, right, your babies. And she's telling me, now you might find this very funny, but she's telling me you're going to have another baby. Has there been talk about you having another child?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm also picking up, I'm being shown by your mom a necklace. And I don't know if it's a heart on the necklace, but there's something with a necklace. And who has a necklace, please?
His cousin does.
Your cousin.
And Kevin was supposed to get it.
And supposed to get the necklace of hers. Thank you. It's your mother's necklace, and she wants you to have it because she wants you to give it to her granddaughter. Granddaughter she's talking about, okay? And go on. Yes. My boy, she loves you very much, and she says you work very hard. You work too hard, and she said something about 2 different jobs. I'm not sure if there's 2 different jobs going on or 2 different. The hours are weird. You understand about the hours being very strange, or the hours being weird? Yeah, that's okay. She's with you, Kevin. Yeah. There you go. Okay. She's showing me a field, and I don't know why she's showing me a field. I'm seeing a farm, or I'm seeing a country road, and I'm seeing this, and it's like she stands on that road and she looks around, and I don't know what it means. Do you know what she's talking about?
It's where the accident was.
It's where the accident was, okay. It looks like it's very rural. Is it rural area? Because it looks very rural to me.
Right.
Okay. Yes, and it's hard for you to go down that road. You understand? She said it's very hard for you down that road. Okay? And she's funny. She said a picture you have of her is old. Some picture is very old of her.
Yes.
You have a very old picture of her, and it sits out. You have it out. You understand? Is it in the living room?
Yes.
Did you have it out? Because she talks about my picture's in the living room, and it's an old picture, and she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like it.
That's
okay?
great.
And she's also mentioning something about a new telephone around you, or was there trouble? Was there trouble with the phone, please?
Oh, yeah.
You understand about the trouble with the phone?
Yeah.
Yes, you couldn't. Yes, she said you couldn't figure out the trouble with the phone. Do you understand?
Yes.
And she's saying she was affecting that. She was affecting the phone, and they can do that. They can affect electrical things. They can affect televisions, radios. And she said you couldn't figure it out. I don't know if you couldn't get a dial tone with it.
It wouldn't go on.
Thank you.
It
You said you couldn't get a dial tone.
We wired it. We tried everything.
She mentioned the trouble there. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Yes. What?
Finally, the moment that Kevin and Dina have been waiting for. A mother's forgiveness.
And she wants me to tell you that don't you care what others think. Don't you care what the others think. They blame you, you know. They blamed him. They blamed him for her death. They blamed you. And it's not your fault. Understand that? It's not your fault. So please be aware of that. She said that. It's not your fault. You understand about that?
Yes.
Okay, she's mentioning that to me. Go on. I love you both. She loves you both. And she wants to thank you for helping her boy. You've helped him a great deal, Dina. You've helped him in his life. You understand? You've helped him in his life. And one of the baby's names, is it named after her?
Her middle name.
Her middle name, because she said the baby's name is something about the name there that she was mentioning, named after her, and she wants to thank you for this, all right? And she protects the babies. She protects them. She does protect them. Okay. Yeah, go on. If she got very angry or very mad, would she ever say boy? Or something, boy, because she's getting real, like, boy, you better listen to me. Yeah. You better listen to me.
Yes.
Because
very
strict, yeah. Because they go, boy, you better listen to me. And it's almost as if she wants you to get yourself going, or, you know, get yourself going. And she's loving. She loves you, and she said it in a very loving way. But she says it's time to grow up. You understand? It's time to grow up. And you know, you had a hard life. You've had a hard life. But she says you can do it. You can do it. And you said you can do it. Yes. Happy with you. She's proud of you, your mom. Your mom's very proud and happy with you, and she loves you very, very much. You make your mom proud. She make your mom proud. You make your mom proud. And she's so funny. She's toasting you. She's toasting you. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I see her toasting you.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense with her character? Because that's what I'm seeing.
Yes, very much so.
A bit of a partier.
She is a very honorable person.
Oh, she is. Then she wants me to give this to you. Wants me to give you this. That she's around you, and she's trying to make up for not being there for you when she was alive, and she's with you, with the kids. Yes, very much. Any other question you'd like to ask?
I'd just like to tell her I love her, and I thank her. You know, I really thank her.
Yes. Good. Thank you very much. She wants to thank you, Mom. I love you. She loves you both. Okay. There you go. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm great.
Okay.
It is a miraculous moment for Kevin and Dina. They are awestruck, amazed, and moved by the experience.
He told us stuff that nobody else knew, and there was no way he could have found out, you know, so without a doubt, I believe strongly that I just held a conversation with my mom.
I felt this weight completely leave him, and his aura became brighter. That happens when there's a little more self-confidence there, there's a little more love there. I think that he had closure, and I think it has changed his way of looking at life.
Did Kevin Boss really have a conversation with his mother? Skeptics will say no, and believers, yes. But does it really matter? Kevin believes. And now he's finally put his mother to rest.
Coming up next is the spirit of a World War I doctor performing contemporary medical miracles. And later, our psychic detectives track a brutal killer.
She knew the man who killed her.
Then peer into the future with modern-day prophets.
Massive UFO sightings over major cities.
Plus, is there a piece of a real UFO contained in this top-secret crate?
Our next story is about a man who's performed thousands of surgeries and claims thousands of cures. But he has no hospital and absolutely no medical training. That doesn't stop him, because he believes a dead doctor takes possession of his soul before each operation. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In a quiet neighborhood, a woman named Andrea is in deep pain.
Can't stand it anymore. Can't stand it.
She has suffered from severe, debilitating migraine headaches since she was 13 years old. Traditional treatments have failed to help her. Her longtime friend Phyllis has watched her suffer since childhood.
And I know she's tried every type of traditional medicine. Nothing has ever worked.
But in a country steeped in religion and mysticism, there may be an alternative, a paranormal alternative. Today, Andrea and Phyllis will meet Brazil's most famous healer, Dr. Fritz. Dr. Fritz was a German physician who worked in a field hospital during World War I. He died in 1916, but since that time, his spirit has been channeled in Brazil by at least 5 healers. Dr. Gilda Moura is a researcher and clinical psychologist. For the past 5 years, she has studied the phenomenon of paranormal healing in Brazil.
There's a series of people that claim being receiving or being possessed by the same spirit, Dr. Fritz.
This man is the latest host for the spirit of Dr. Fritz, Ruben Faria. This unassuming man is no doctor. He has absolutely no medical training. But when he becomes possessed with the soul of Dr. Fritz, he's transformed into an internationally renowned healer. What you are seeing is Ruben Faria receiving the soul, as well as the medical abilities of Dr. Fritz. As many as 800 people a day come to be cured in an old meeting hall located in a rundown Rio suburb.
There will be many more tumors, sore throats, and headaches. You'll see curing them is easy. What is more difficult is awakening the head and heart, giving people faith for the rest of their lives. That's my real mission, to help others find themselves.
Some require only a few minutes of his time. Others require delicate surgery done on the spot. Dr. Fritz performs operations without anesthetic. using medical techniques that date back to the turn of the century.
In the Fritz phenomenon and the paranormal healers, spiritual healers in Brazil, we observe the same. It's very interesting because the way they do the scars and the way they sew it, it's the old way to do it. It's not the modern way.
Sometimes he injects his patients with what should be a lethal mix of alcohol, iodine, and turpentine. Somehow, his patients feel no pain.
I feel it, of course. I feel him doing the cutting and hammering with the knife. Can you see that? It's just that it doesn't hurt.
So far, science cannot explain the miracle of Dr. Fritz, but perhaps spirituality can.
We did a test before trance and after trance. And it's a different state of the mind, a different state of consciousness.
You don't awaken anything in a person that they don't already feel in their own body. This is what alternative medicine really is. Now I'm at peace. This man, he has blessed hands.
When Andrea and Phyllis arrive at Dr. Fritz's, there's already a long line. Many people have been waiting for hours. On this day, like on most, there are no unhappy patients.
E agora?
No problem.
Perfeito.
Now it is Andrea's turn. She won't require any surgery, but she's still nervous.
I don't think I can live.
After a last-minute hesitation, Andrea follows Dr. Fritz to his work area. The procedure is quick and painless.
I'm in awe. I didn't feel a thing. Yeah, there was something very protective about him. I mean, there's something he makes you feel good. I mean, he told me to thank God. He says, if you don't feel any pain, thank God for that. And I said, no, I'll thank you. And he says, no, thank God, I don't have anything to do with it. That's what he said. And it felt very positive. I mean, it was a positive feeling, good vibes, if you will.
For Andrea and thousands like her, the healing powers of Dr. Fritz, as channeled through the body of Ruben Faria, have provided the relief that modern medicine hasn't.
When you come out here and you see it, it's very hard to remain cynical about it. He has something. He has something unexplainable, but he has it. And it's working.
Even though Dr. Fritz's patients swear by him, I think I'll just stay with my own doctor. The guy with all the degrees on the wall.
Coming up next, our psychics look into the mind of a ruthless killer.
He kept approaching her. He was trying to draw her into some illegal activity.
And later, clairvoyance makes some astonishing predictions.
A very, very large earthquake in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Then, are the contents of this crate proof that UFOs exist?
Tonight, our panel of psychic detectives take on the case of a young girl's brutal murder. It's a tough case, and the Chicago police need help. Yolanda Gaskins has more.
Thank you, Jonathan. Police are calling this one of the toughest cases in the history of Chicago crime. 3 years ago, two men playing soccer made a gruesome discovery. It was the body of a teenage girl, Rebecca Diaz, stuffed into a small footlocker. The police and Rebecca's mom are hoping that the psychic detectives can help. Young Rebecca, or Becky, was the oldest child of Marlene Diaz.
Rebecca was the type of person that would make you laugh. Rebecca's favorite things were dancing. She loved to dance and hang around with her friends a lot. She wanted to become a model. She really, really dwelled on that. She wanted to be that model.
But Becky never got a chance to live out her dream as a model. She was strangled, her body stuffed into a trunk and found in an alley in North Chicago. Detective Stephen Garis was assigned to the case.
There were two individuals that found the trunk in the alley and did call the police. They thought, being heavy, that they had found a treasure chest of some kind. And they tried to pry it open, and when they did find the body of Becky Diaz.
Police arrived, and we went to the morgue. I saw a person there, and I looked at that face. I knew it was her, and I have to live now without her.
Detective Garis cannot offer any solutions to Becky's mother. The case is at a standstill.
It became frustrating because every time we tried, we thought we had something solid, and we would zero in on this lead that came in or that was developed. It just fell off the table for us. There was nothing there. And this happened time and time again.
With limited evidence and no progress, Becky's case has been brought to the psychic detectives. Before we begin, I have to stress that the information that you've just viewed has not been seen by the psychics. The psychic detectives are Nancy Meyer, Kathleen Ray, and Greta Alexander. Also with us in studio are Chicago Police Detective Steve Garis and Becky's mother, Marlene Diaz. Let's begin.
I think that she would always wanted to be like a model or like an actress, because I wanted to dress up. I wanted to get all gussied up and like even Playboy, because she was proud of the way she looked. I feel like that there were some pictures taken. There's something here about pictures.
Modeling pictures?
Bodily pictures.
I mean, modeling pictures.
Modeling pictures, body pictures.
I have a very strong impression that she knew the man who killed her. He was trying to draw her into some illegal activity. And he kept approaching her and asking her to become involved in it. Now he's trying to draw her into his world, and she is not interested.
And I think there was a horrendous argument. I think that this got out of hand. I think that when she was accosted, I feel like that she was surprised by it. I don't think she thought it would ever happen.
You believe the perpetrator was the one that killed her? The one that wanted to get her into that type of modeling?
I think he used it as a ploy. I think he kind of he knew what she wanted to do. He knew what her dream was, what her goal was. I feel like that the perpetrator played basketball and played more like on the street than in a building.
The park.
Yeah.
Up in the live park, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there one nearby?
Yes, there's one right down the street where she was found.
Where's she?
Big M. I got a big M, an initial M. And I capitalized it. Big M. Maybe the name of a place. Like, is there a McDonald's there?
McDonald's
Big
is
M.
Not far away.
There must be a place where the kids sit outside on some steps. Where is this at?
Probably next door to where I live. The neighbors, they used to always hang out there.
Okay, because that's really important. Very, very important.
Would these kids that she hung around with, would they know what's going on here?
They would know.
Like a girlfriend?
I would check with some of her friends and ask them if any of them were approached with seemingly offers to make money for posing, and I think they were told the photos were naked. I think they were told that.
Was there a modeling or talent agency involved at all in this?
There was one in the neighborhood that is not far from there. So that's something that probably should be pursued on our part then.
Do we know if she's ever gone there? You don't know that yet?
No, we don't know that. No. But we know it's in the neighborhood.
As the session continued, the psychics provided more information on possible suspects. We went to Chicago to follow up the leads with Detective Garis.
Psychics brought up several things that they wouldn't know that we knew about the case. We knew from the investigation that where the body was found that there was a park right there, maybe 100 feet away, with a basketball court on it. The psychics brought up that Becky was into modeling and photography, and it turned out that we found out that she was. The psychics did bring up about a photography studio, and that there was no way for them to know that it was right there in the area. Another thing that the psychics brought up was the letter M. And obviously the street where she was found in the alley, the address was Milwaukee Avenue. There was a McDonald's right there, which we found to be kind of odd, that we would find all this going back over it again. One of the theories that came out of the psychic session does make sense to us as far as with remodeling photography, and we're going to pursue that now.
The Chicago police are following up leads provided by our psychic detectives. In the meantime, Becky's mother continues to hope that justice will be done.
It's important for me to know who did this to my daughter. Because right now I'm not at any peace. When they find the person that did this to my daughter, I'd like to have 5 minutes with them.
We'll be back in a moment.
The crimes.
Over the years, both Sean David Morton and Gordon Michael Scallion have predicted many frightening events. This year seems to be no different.
A very, very large earthquake in the Northern California, San Francisco Bay Area in the time frame of 2 weeks plus or minus of April 18th, or the time frame of 2 weeks plus or minus of October 9th, causing a great deal of damage and destruction.
We're going to see a continuation of the weather pattern changes that we saw in 1995.
Volcanic activity and earthquake activity is going to increase exponentially all along the Sierra Nevadas and the Cascade Mountain Range.
We're going to see changes in the world that will require new maps to be made for many lands.
A second round of killer heat waves all across the United States that will burn corn, wheat, livestock, all across the U.S.
We're going to see an educational revolution in this country.
Massive UFO sightings over major cities, exactly like in Mexico City. Those sightings are going to begin to start happening here in North America in a major way.
Mars's moon Phoebus will be pulled from its orbit, and it will be sent on a collision course with the Earth's atmosphere.
You are going to see tens of thousands, if not millions, of children relocating to the center part of the United States as the United States makes a sole agreement on a very, very high level to take in the women and children from all across the world and protect, feed, and defend them here in the United States.
The visions of gifted prophets or random guesses? Only the future holds the answer. We will keep track of their results. An ammunition box, some aging scraps of newspaper, a map, an air bill, and a piece of metal, and a question. Is this evidence that an alien spaceship crashed on our planet? July 1947. 2 UFOs crashed in the New Mexico desert near Roswell. Witnesses reported seeing alien bodies, and wreckage from the crash was strewn for miles. All that debris was quickly gathered and classified by military officials, never to be seen again. Executive producer of the Roswell movie, Paul Davids, has researched the incident thoroughly.
According to testimony, there were masses of metal materials picked up from the debris field. The material was shipped off, reportedly much of it to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. At that time it was called Wright Field. Apparently no one knows what became of it to this day.
Despite the attempts of the U.S. government and military to conceal the events at Roswell, a startling piece of evidence has surfaced. Evidence that could change our beliefs about UFOs and our own government. We've obtained this old ammunitions box, which may contain that evidence, a piece of the alien spacecraft. Inside the box are several mysterious items. A jagged piece of metal debris with a protective beeswax coating. An old map of the Roswell area with the 2 crash sites circled in pencil. And an air freight bill, all wrapped in newspapers dated from 1944. Just what these artifacts are and where they came from could provide a major clue to one of the world's greatest mysteries. What really happened at Roswell in 1947. Our first clue was the name Henderson, which was penciled in on the New Mexico map. Nuclear physicist and author Stanton Friedman has conducted extensive research on the Roswell incident and is considered one of the foremost experts on UFOs.
Pappy Henderson was an outstanding flyer during World War II and while based at Roswell. He ferried important equipment out to the Pacific, ferried VIPs over the nuclear weapon tests that were conducted in Operation Crossroads. Outstanding individual. He apparently flew some of the wreckage from testimony he gave to his wife and to a very good friend. He apparently handled pieces of the wreckage, flew some of it to Wright Field, and knew what the bodies looked like. Most important is he apparently had a piece of the wreckage.
Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who was at the Roswell site after the crash, claimed that the metal debris possessed characteristics not found in metals produced on Earth. Is the metal fragment in this ammo box part of that crash wreckage? Don Ecker, a former police officer and the editor of UFO magazine, agreed to examine the box and its contents.
Now, you got to think like a cop. This obviously is not as light as how Major Marcel described the material he picked up at Roswell. This looks like it might have come from some type of military contraption, perhaps even an aircraft, but it's hard to say.
So we did our own test. We took it to Russell Sherman, one of the world's foremost metallurgical consultants.
It's very thin material. It's probably about a 16th of an inch thick, probably about 50 to 60 thousandths of an inch. I can't tell anything from just looking at it. Okay. And put it in the machine and arc it.
We cut it, ground it, and had its components analyzed, and finally, our results.
I just scraped the metal with my alien metal checker here. Now, if we believe what Major Marcel said, the metal could not be scratched, could not be marked, could not be marred. And this obviously has been. If you look right there, you'll see. This is not part of the Roswell. I would have to, just on the face of it, this would not appear to have the same properties as what was described as the Roswell craft.
It was, in fact, a very common, what's called alloy steel. And it's called 4130. Well, I wouldn't think that aliens from another universe would come up with 4130, perfect 4130, according to the readout from the spectrograph. Now, this is made, no doubt, someplace in Ohio or Pennsylvania.
Fragments from an alien spacecraft? Not according to our investigation. In this case, the experts agree. The fragment is from this planet. But we'll continue our search for real evidence of paranormal phenomena, and we'll continue to separate fact from fraud.